Well, we're talking about creating businesses here. We're talking about being creative here. And today it's really interesting because I'm going to talk about a Korean drama. Why? Because there's nothing else on Netflix to watch. For me, when I get to watch those shows, especially Korean or Japanese drama, there's so many lessons that we can take out of it. And back in the days, Disney used to do that and really was amazing at it. And today, well, they decided to give up. So what can we do? We have Korean dramas that actually can save us from just getting on Disney and watch shows. But today, I'm really gonna share a lot of things from one specifically that I watched recently, and I think it's gonna be really interesting, really amazing for you to even discover that. And by the way, if you want to watch it, the show I'm gonna be talking about, I'm gonna tell you to probably not watch this video. I know, but it's still worth it. Let's get into it now. Hello people, we are back talking about Korean dramas. I know, really interesting, definitely interesting. And the reason why I'm bringing that is because I think from wherever you are, you can learn something out of especially Korean and Japanese shows, because they have that tendency of just the tension and really that amazing side about not only relating to those characters but really getting to a point where you get out of it with something you learn, something you just discovered about yourself or just things in life in general. And today we're gonna talk about Itaewon Class, and it's pretty new on Netflix, I believe, but I'm gonna go through the story. And if you know me, you know how much I'm obsessed. I've been obsessed with Japanese animes and Japanese drama and Korean dramas for a while, years and years and years and years, before it got to be popular the way it is now. We're gonna have that concept here. I think I'm probably gonna bring, let's say, one Korean drama per month that I'm probably gonna be talking about, and we're gonna discuss about it, and then we're gonna get lessons out of, because there's always lessons out of. Let's get started. Once upon a time, story time. I know. You get Seidoi, who's a high school student, and you see him at the beginning getting to a high school, really having his first couple of days there, and there you have a couple of people that have a certain standard when it comes to money. They are pretty much having money, right? He's there because his dad actually is working at a really great big cooking company, so he gets to have that benefit to go to that high school. The only thing is that the first couple of days he sees a student getting bullied. He doesn't stand for it, it's not about his life, and decides to protect the student getting bullied. The only issue is that the bully guy, the guy that actually bullies people, is the son of the chairman who owns the cooking company where that salary dad works, right? From the beginning you're just like, okay, what is going on here? He decides to protect the student getting bullied and actually hits the chairman's son back because of all of that. Following that, couple of episodes after, you get to have Seidoi that needs to say sorry because the chairman demands it for what he did to his son getting punched like that, and Seidoi says no because it's not about his life, because clearly you can see that the son was the issue. He had issues when it comes to that. So Seidoi says no, and because he says no, the dad gets fired because he was working at that cooking company. And then from the get-go you just see the unfairness of it, you just feel it, because you already attach at a certain level to the characters, right? And you're just like, this is so unfair. And believe me, that's just the beginning. The dad getting fired decides to open his own bar restaurant because he had a couple of some savings, right? Right at the beginning where he was supposed to open it, he gets hit. And he gets hit by who? By the son chairman, because he was drunk. He was clearly not being, he was not supposed to be on the road that day or that night. The dad dying that day, the chairman decides to cover all of that up. Seidoi gets mad and furious and really is hurt because you just lost your dad and you don't even have your mom around anymore, right? So all of that gets to the point where he gets mad and he discovers that actually was the chairman's son that hit his dad. He gets even more mad and decides to get and run to the hospital where the chairman's son is, and decides to hit him at such level because it was like he lost it. Just imagine how much you're gonna feel the rage. Like, you just want to kill the person that did that to your parents. And it's exactly how he felt that day. So he gets to the hospital, was literally about to kill him. He hit him so bad. And right at the moment where he was gonna do that, the police came and he got arrested. He got arrested for punching and hitting the chairman's son and finished in jail, right? He gets out of jail after 3 years, if I remember. And when he gets out of jail, he gets to meet his crush, his older crush, who was going at the same high school as him, and they end up being in Seoul, Itaewon, and they had a drink, and there was a couple of flirting there. And this is where everything started, because he left Seoul. He decided to work for a couple of years to just get back on his feet and stuff, and made a plan to open a bar, restaurant, and really be in such a big competition to the chairman and the cooking company. And his plan is to really be the biggest restaurant, the biggest bar restaurant that honestly Seoul didn't even know they could be beyond the Chinga, which is a cooking company where the chairman's son is. All of that leads you to see everything that he did in order to make it big, in order to make his restaurant and his business big. And there's so much that I can say, and there's so much details, but I don't want to really get into details here, because at the end of the day, just with the couple of lines that I brought, I'm sure you're gonna be interested if you haven't watched it yet. Let's just say that from that standpoint, we get to see him on a journey here, journey of evolution, journey of growth, and really getting to the final point of making his restaurant being the biggest of them all. But it's with so much work, so much challenge, and so much hardships, right? And so many great people around him. And I'm gonna get to the details, or just the main lines here of what I got to take out of when it came to just watching the entire show, right? The first thing I want to share here is the personality. The personality is everything. When I saw Seloyi say no from the get-go, that showed such a great character out of him. Without the money, without the business, without the support, it was still a nothing in that way compared to what he became after at the end of the show. And even with that, you could see the principle of the guy. You could see the principle of the man. And when it comes to that, when you get to be in a business, and when you get to be online, when you get to just start building that confidence within you, there's a certain level of things that you're never gonna stand for, no matter if you are without money or without anything else. There's that level, especially in the Asian culture and even in the African culture. I think I talked a bit about it when it comes to adults and when it comes to the younger generation. When an adult speaks, usually it's a respect. You just bring respect. You have nothing else to say. If the adult say yes, you say yes. If the adult says no, you say no. And it's that dynamic that you can see in those dramas, and that's why I relate so much, because in Africa is pretty much the same thing. You have to be really respectful when it comes to adults, you generally speaking. When it comes to Serenity, and when he says no, you can see the level of the risk he took because of everything he could have lost right from that point. And he did lose them. He did lose a lot of things, right? He got in jail. He lost his dad. And at the end of the day, if it was not for that, nothing else would have happened before. So seeing that great character already shows you what's gonna be like when it gets to that journey. Because it starts with the great character. It's not important to have a lot of money if you don't show a great character, because the person you were before the money is gonna be the same person after the money, but amplified. Right? So at the end of the day, if you're somebody that can be corruptible, even with the money, you're gonna be worse. The power is gonna corrupt you, right? And you can see that line, you can see that journey going from him, and you can see how much you can already respect that. It's a point in dramas where you can see unfairness and really characters playing, and you see yourself into the shoes and be like, I would have done the same thing, right? Maybe I would have been a bit scared, who knows? But I felt him, and I was like, I would have probably at least thought about doing the same thing, because it was just not fair. So that personally matters when you get online, and that's why it's so important to really get to that humbleness and really saying within you who you are first, because everything here is gonna get with you, it's gonna carry on with you. wherever you are. The second thing is the purpose. What I saw from Seiroi, never giving up, even with all the challenges that came along with building that restaurant, and because it became the target of the chairman, and the chairman being a lot more powerful than him, especially at the beginning, you can see how much the strength that he took came from the purpose, motivation, determination that he had. And that came from what? From that unfairness, his dad death. That got to wake up something in him where he was like, I'm not giving up. It's not only for me, it's to avenge my dad and to see him get on my knees himself, say sorry to me himself, right? And it was as simple as getting to that vision, getting to that end goal, that he made everything that he had to do. And again, here with honesty, he didn't try to be somebody that he was not. And when you get to have a purpose like that, it's such a big fuel, it's such a big drive. It drives you even in the worst moment. He got at some point, I think what happened is that his crush started working at a cooking company, the German cooking company. So they became kind of rivals in a way where they couldn't necessarily be together, right? And at some point there was a couple of young people that got into his bar, and because those people and those kids, I want to say, were still minors, he got the police getting in because somebody called to say that he had minors in his bar. And that was right at the moment where he still lost something, because he had to close the bar for, I think it was 3 months, something like that, and no revenue, no income, no business for 3 months. It was already hard enough for him, and it was many years after when he got out of jail, right? And it was the first biggest tumble that he got on when he opened that restaurant. When you build a business, when you get confident, when you get online, you show up online, you're creating something online, how many hardships you're gonna have, how much money you're gonna lose, how much deception you're gonna get here. When you set a goal and it never happens like that, you set something, never happens like that, and just want to give up. You're just like, it's not for me. And this is where you just see how much you have to want it. How much do you want it? And how much are you ready to commit? Because at the end of the day, it's the passion, it's the drive, which is the purpose here. But at the end of the day, it's the consistency. Doing it once, doing it twice, doing it again and again and again, and always remember where it comes from, right? The third thing is how much the power can corrupt you. I talked a bit about it because at some point in that show, we see the chairman past and how he got to be the chairman. What he wanted at the beginning was just feed his family, because his family went through a really, like, they were poor, they didn't have the money, and he lost his sister because of it, because of no food at all. And it really impacted him so much that he decided to never let his family get hungry ever again, right? And from that start point, he decided to build that company. He decided to build Jenga Group. You see how much he came from such a good goal, right? I think it just became so much more powerful in such a bad way because the money started to feel good more than the mission that he had to begin with. He literally gave up on his son at some point. And you see the son at the end of the day that, to me, needed more his father than the chairman, and he never necessarily had it at that point. And that's why he became so much a bully he became, and the monster he became to me, right? That lack of affection, that lack of support can make you be like that. At the end of the day, the mission, yes, is a thing. Whatever you have at the beginning of the journey is a thing, but never lose yourself throughout that journey, because it's really easy, especially here on social media. It's very easy to do that, super easy to lose yourself. So here, the personality and the power can corrupt you at every level. The other point here is to humbleness, and Seiroi is blunt. Very blunt. At the beginning of opening that restaurant, he didn't know anything about social media, and actually the minors that went into his restaurant ended up working there when they were older, when they got to be over 17 years old. But it came with that bluntness where he was receiving information. He was like, okay, I don't know anything about social media, can you teach me? How can I learn more about it? And that level of humbleness will lead you to every type of success, right? Because when we get to be students, rather than we want to show that we know everything, we let ourselves be open to any type of information, any type of awareness, even being the person that feels like you know everything, and that's going to show that I know this, I know it. No, it's about you coming here, bringing the knowledge that you already have, and being open to learn anything else, right? You're never gonna be the best of the best because you're always gonna learn something. And the last thing would be the patience. He got out of jail after 3 years, made a plan of 7 years plus. After getting out of the jail, it was about saving up and really opening that restaurant. It took him a couple of years, I think it was around 7 years, and then he opened the restaurant. And from that point, he had another 7 years to really build it up to the point of making it very big. So it took him over 10 years for his plan. Again here, when we go back at today, what we have the ideal picture of making it work overnight, making it work in 1 week. How did I get to make 50K the last month? But forgetting that it takes time to grow, it takes time to evolve, it takes time to even you getting through it, understanding what is going on. And people that I talked about before, Vanessa Lau or Pierre Exo, those are people that at the end of the day are as talented that I am, that are as skilled that I am, that are as creative that I am, if not more. But again, with other success Vanessa Lau had, she still gave up because it was not something that she pictured to be after. Not because it was bad, but because it was probably not necessarily her. She started resenting what she was doing. And when you get to that point, you really have to be careful about what it is that you truly want. Because beyond the money, beyond the success, beyond the shine and bright, what it is that you truly want. And that takes a journey, a lifetime to get to know all of that. I would say even 3 years ago, I can literally feel myself changing every single day more than before it. But I would say the 3 years ago, the me 3 years ago is not me today, right? There's still things here, but it's definitely not me today. I've changed so much. So many layers of me have changed. And I'm not there yet, right? It's gonna take me even more. I failed many times. I changed many times. I'm still changing, right? I'm currently in a niche that I know is changing for me in my head all the time. And this is something that I have to accept, at least to move on, at least to evolve, to grow, and to develop myself. And if I can serve and help people around me, this is the best thing that can happen to me, to change and to evolve and to progress myself. The point is not necessarily to get into that and to just expect it to happen overnight. Because by really getting to wait for things to happen, you're getting to be more grateful and appreciate them when they happen. Again here, because it takes more to get to more things or deeper things, to build a business, to have a 6-figure business. For some people it's fast. For Vanessa Lau it was super fast. But that's the exception again here. So that's a lesson here, that nobody is perfect, but patience becomes a skill, and the biggest skill ever when you get to take risks, being an entrepreneur, being online and doing things that nobody else usually does but you and a fewer people. So I think it was it for today. I hope you really love that. Watching the show is a lot more important, believe me. And it might be your first Korean drama, and you're gonna thank me later when you're gonna be obsessed and addicted to Korean dramas the same way I am now. I'm just saying. So I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took something out of and any lessons out of it. And of course, I'm gonna see you for my next episode. And until then, like I say all the time, smile because it's free and contagious in a good way. Bye.